So in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to create a preset that mimics the look of Portra 400 from Kodak. I've actually used this film before on my 35mm camera. It's really awesome to shoot with it. I definitely recommend you try it out if you haven't done it before. So as far as the film goes, Portra 400 is typically known for wedding photography, for portraits, and the reason for that is it's got a very nice color to it. It's very soft, doesn't have much contrast. It's really nice on skin tones. It really brings them out nicely. It does have quite a bit of saturation to it, and it also has a really nice fine grain to it. Not really noticeable much, but if you look hard enough, you actually see the grain. There's a lot of other films out there that have too much grain to it. So I feel like for portraits, the grain it just kind of like fits perfectly. So if you guys go to my website, I'll include a link in the description for that. You'll see the preset on there. I have it as a free download. Go ahead and download it. Also, you can go check out my Instagram at Kurt Vaughn. I'm going to be uploading all my presets there, so you can actually use these presets I'm creating as Instagram filters for stories. So before we actually get into creating the preset, I just want to show you guys some photos that are actually taken with Portra 400. I pulled these photos off the internet just to give you an idea of the look we're going for. The first thing I notice is the saturation and vibrance. It's pretty prevalent in all the images. Secondly, the film grain isn't overpowering. Your eye definitely notices it, but it's not overly strong. Something I especially notice is the sky in all these photos have a very distinct look. Normally with digital, the separation between the clouds and the blue sky would be very noticeable. With Portra 400, they both seem to blend together in a creamy fashion. There's also no banding on the blues, something you often see with digital images. Overall, the images are just really soft, which I think comes from the lower contrast of Portra 400. When it comes to the skin tones, they're pretty perfect. This, I think, would be the biggest challenge in trying to recreate this look. So let's get into how to create the preset. I have a bunch of photos that I've imported. So we're going to work with these photos and try to create a nice preset that mimics the look of Portra 400. So the first thing I'm going to do is just going to add a little bit of exposure to this. So I'm going to add 0.45. Like I said before, there's very little contrast in Portra 400, so we're going to bring that down quite a bit. So I'm going to go down all the way to -40. We're going to come down, so we're going to leave the highlights, leave the shadows, leave the whites, leave the blacks. We're going to go to D-Haze. So D-Haze is going to create kind of a soft look to the image. So I'm going to bring that down. We're going to go down to 35 for this one. You can see the difference that it's made already. And then we're going to come down to the vibrance. Like I said, Portra 400 has quite a bit of vibrance to it, so we're going to bump this up. So I'm going to go with 15 for vibrance, and then for saturation, I'm going to go with 25. We're going to open up the tone curves next. So I'm going to click on the white one here, and I'm going to bring this up to 15. And then I'm going to come back to the curve here. For highlights, I'm going to bring this up to 10. For the lights, I'm going to bring that up to 10 as well. And then for the darks, I'm going to bring that down to -16. And the shadows also to -16. So what this does is it creates a nice flow from our shadows to our highlights. Okay, so our tone curve looks good. So now I'm going to come to my color panel. So the film is really known for being a like portrait wedding type of film, and the reason for that is because it has really nice skin tones. So the way we can try to replicate that is by taking out the reds and oranges from that skin tone to kind of create something a little bit softer. So as far as the red saturation, I'm going to take that down to -5. And the orange, so usually orange is kind of the most prevalent color in skin tone. So I'm going to bring that down to -10. And for the yellow, I could do, we'll go with -5, we'll try that. And then as far as the other ones, we're just going to bump those up just a little bit. So for all of them, we're going to do +7. So this is just going to create a little bit more saturation in the overall image. Split toning, we're just going to leave that be. Detail, we're going to add a little bit of sharpening to this. We're going to go with like 15. So lens correction, you can just skip that. Transform, skip that as well. So we're going to go to the effects one. Now we're going to work on the grain. So for the grain, we're going to add 30 to it. And the size, we're going to bring the size down to, we'll go to 2 because it has a very fine grain to it. So now I can copy this. So I'm going to go up to Develop Settings and Copy Settings. And that looks good. Hit copy. And I'll paste those settings. So you can see the difference. It's really subtle. The whole idea is you don't want to go overboard with this. So looking at the before and after of this, there's a gradual transition from the shadows to the highlights. It's got a nice grain to it. It's still pretty vivid, but it has kind of like a nice soft look to it, which is what we're going for. I'll show you some of the before and after of these images. I feel pretty satisfied with how they came out. The only real way to actually replicate film is to shoot with it, but I think this preset certainly does help recreate the look. So each week I'm going to be creating a new preset, so if you want to get those updates, just subscribe. Also, you can go to my website and you can hit the subscribe for presets button and just enter your email and I'll send them out that way as well.